Hello, everyone. Happy end of the week wrap up. I'm technically making this before the job reports that comes out tomorrow. So for the most part, the information is up to date and accurate, but I will tell you Friday job reports can move the market some, but I got good news. Let's see. I promise it's good news. I actually got great news to start. Congratulations to the Rangers. For those that don't know, they were 11-0 on the road, and nobody in baseball has ever done that. And by the way, the only way they could have done one more is if they did have home field advantage. They could have gotten 12 games in, but as it was, 12 game or 11 games, 11-0. But here's the cool part: on the road, right? They played the Rays, the Orioles, the Astros, the Diamondbacks. Take the first letter of the Rays, Orioles, Astros, Diamondbacks, and that spells road. How cool is that? Anyway, here's more good news. Rates, my goodness, look at this. Back in the mid sevens, mid to high sevens, depending on just when you're looking. But check this out. These have been two really good past days. The biggest thing that sparked yesterday's big movement was that the Fed basically said they're going to start doing shorter term. Instead of doing 10 years, they're going to take like 2-year notes and bonds and whatever to raise money. And they're doing that to hopefully save interest. Because Janet Yellen, if you haven't seen it, Janet Yellen has been getting beat up this week in the news because they didn't take out long-term debt like for 10 years when rates were at 2 point whatever during COVID. The rest of America, the average consumer, knew to take out a 3% interest rate for a mortgage for 30 years. But our U.S. government, instead of doing 10 years, locking it up at 2.x, decided to do a 2-year arm or a 2-year note rather, and at 0.7 to save that money, quote unquote, in interest. And here we are now, they're refinancing at today's rates. So because they have said they're no longer doing as many 10 years and they're going to go to shorter term durations, that means we, mortgages, long-term debt, don't have to compete quite as much if they're not going to be selling all those 10 years. So that's a good thing for us. And that's a big reason why we moved up. If tomorrow's job reports comes out and shows some weakness in the economy, man, that'd be great for rates. And maybe they stay here and hold and break above this 50-day moving average. That'd be fun. That'd be helpful. Time will tell. From an inflation standpoint, just one more time, I know I hit you guys up on a regular basis about this, but inflation is what drives our rates. The Fed, they want to see a 2% target rate. And unfortunately, it's at 2.5. Like when these numbers for rent and owner's equivalent of rent come down and actually get reflected in today's numbers, it still only puts it around 2.5% for the CPI, which is a measure of inflation. So, whether the Fed decides to move their 2 to 2.5 to determine, but it could mean that the Fed keeps rates higher longer. Is what it is. For those that are trying to tell folks now is a good time to buy, it is, because look at all the yellow all-time highs in real estate values. So literally in August, July and August, every one of these, all 5 of these measures of appreciation, all 5 have shown record values. And even before that, the previous 2, May and June, 4 of the 5 showed record appreciation. So guys, market's still really good year over year. Everybody's predicting, what is this, 2% on the low side and 5.6 on the high side. That's for the year over year, but the actual pace is between 6 and 8% appreciation. So again, I know rates aren't great, but tell that person who's looking that the 400 priced home, the 400,000 could be worth or cost you at least 430,000 next year. So buy today and save yourself 30 grand. All right, some facts. Read closely. These are cool. If you want to pause, I'm not going to read to you, but this was interesting. 49% of U.S. adults agree that it is a bad time to buy a home. That means only 50%. So 1 out of 2 people said, hey, it's time to buy. But what I thought was interesting about this, the baby boomers said that it was 54% of them said it was a bad time to buy. And the millennials and Gen Zers, the younger generations, only about 40%, 41 and 44. So then lastly, this is interesting. Those making under 50 grand, they basically say it's only 43% say it's a bad time to buy. So they make less, yet they think they're more optimistic about buying. This one, I'll never be able to afford my dream home. Somewhat makes sense. Those making more money think they can, but a third of Americans don't think they're going to do this. But look at women. 34% of women agree that they won't be able to afford their dream home, whereas the men out there, only 29%. So I just thought that was interesting. Mortgage rates will remain elevated for the foreseeable future. They have about half, 54, 55, 50%, 44. A third of Gen Zers only think that. So, the Gen Z population thinks rates can and will come down. And I agree with them. I'm not a Gen Zer, but I'll actually agree with them on this one. Check, this one blew my mind. A home buyer needs 20% down payment to buy a home. 32% of Americans still think they need 20%. That's all. That's a third. 1 out of every 3 people think they need 20%. There are zero down programs. There are low down payment. There are 3-5%. You guys probably know this, but just make sure you reiterate it, because 1 out of 3 people you're talking to that wants to buy a home, 1 out of 3 people apparently thinks that it takes 20% to buy a home. That blew me away. Renting is cheaper. This one's a good fact. Is renting cheaper than owning a home? Do people believe that? Only 17% think renting is cheaper than owning a home. So in other words, close to 80% of the market thinks that owning a home is better. So I thought that was good. Use that to your advantage. Some fun slides. Somebody sent me this link. 150 homes are for sale. It only costs you 50 million bucks. I think the average price was like 333,000 per home. But if you want to own 150 homes overnight, just cough up 50 million bucks. This case, if you guys care, I'm not going to spend a ton of time because the headlines are on it and who knows what actually comes from it. But you may have seen the stats that apparently, supposedly, their money's $1.8 billion lawsuit is getting finalized for real estate companies to pay their sellers for basically fixing their commissions or keeping their commissions high. So we can go into that in more detail. If somebody wants to know, call me. If you're in the real estate industry, you should know this. If you don't, call me and let's trade ideas and thoughts and brainstorms of what could happen in the future. This one, again, Texas on the left, how much do you need to be in the top 5% of your state's high earners? You got to make $427,000 a year to be in the top 5% in Texas. I just thought this was kind of interesting. What does it mean for housing? I don't know. It's just fun. So the net worth of an American household, 2022 versus 2019, it looks like it's been a 3 good years despite COVID. There's a 23% increase in net worth. So I thought that was also very interesting as well. Matthew Perry, buddy, miss you. Friends was awesome. Grew up. I was a big Friends fan. But there is actually a neighborhood in Taylor, which is near Austin, where they got all kinds of roads like Pivot Drive. Ross Geller moving the couch, pivot. So anyway, I just thought that was good. And that was my, homage to Friends. Lastly, questionable life hacks. I won't go over all of them, but I like the middle one. If you need new tires, rent a car with the same bolt pattern and swap out your wheels. I was like, geez, I don't know what kind of trouble you get in doing that, but that'd be funny. There you go. There's your life hacks for the day. Guys, as always, please get social, share, subscribe, forward, all that fun stuff. Let us know if you guys have any questions. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great and wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.